Hello, good evening. Campaigners calling for fresh inquests into the deaths of victims of the Birmingham pub bombing say a meeting with the Home Secretary today was a monumental step forward in their fight. Brian and Julie Hambleton's sister Maxine was one of 21 people killed in the attacks in 1974. Today they challenged Theresa May on claims government files linked to the murders will be kept secret for 75 years. Callum Watkinson reports.
The latest step in a quest for justice that has lasted a lifetime. Brian and Julie Hambleton met with the Home and Northern Ireland secretaries this morning. It is now more than 40 years since their sister Maxine was murdered in Birmingham along with 20 other people. Nobody has been successfully convicted, and the Hambletons came here today with three key demands. Julie Hambleton will tell the Home Secretary that campaigners want her support for their Justice for the 21 campaign, that they want new coroner's inquests for all of the victims, and that they want the immediate release of investigative material that's currently being held under a 75-year embargo, which isn't due to end until 2068. They found a sympathetic ear and emerged after an hour with the sense they might finally be getting somewhere.
We're feeling a sense of relief, actually. I actually got upset when I first started to speak because for us it was monumental. We've been fighting for years and now we've come here to the Home Office to speak to one of the top ministers in the current government.
The bombings on November the 21st, 1974 were followed by the wrongful convictions of 6 men 9 months later. They were released in 1991 and for the next 3 years West Midlands Police investigated the atrocity, concluding in 1994 there was insufficient evidence for a conviction. Between 2012 and 2014 the force again investigated the bombings, but with the same conclusion. As is usual in cases of unlawful killing, an inquest was opened and adjourned pending the prosecution of the Birmingham Six and closed when they were convicted. But it was never reopened when those wrongful convictions were quashed.
So there's no separate investigatory process by an independent coroner, basically. They relied upon the police process, they relied upon the criminal justice system to convict the Birmingham Six. As we then know, in 1991, the Birmingham Six conviction was overturned as being unsafe and unsatisfactory.
The judicial papers the families want to see were placed under a public interest immunity order in 1994, a measure used when disclosure could damage the public interest.
How can it not be in the public interest for us to know the truth? You know, we don't need to see them, but our legal representatives have every right to have access to those.
The application for new inquest was officially submitted yesterday. It is for the Attorney General to decide what happens next. Callum Watkinson, ITV News, Westminster.
The police officer at the centre of the Pleb Gate scandal has accepted £80,000 in damages to settle a libel action against Sutton Coldfield MP Andrew Mitchell. The former Tory chief whip always denied using the word pleb to officers during an argument at the gates of Downing Street in September 2012. PC Toby Rowland's defamation case against the MP closed at the High Court today. A judge ruled in November that Mr Mitchell had used the word. Poundland has been told it must no longer claim that every item it sells costs £1. 3 customers complained after the company, which has its headquarters in Willenhall, sold DVDs and other special offers which cost more. Poundland has said those offers were a trial and clearly separated in store from other £1 products. But advertising watchdog the ASA said claims on the company's website were misleading. The railway line between Leamington Spa and Banbury will reopen again after a landslip 3 weeks ahead of schedule. The line was blocked near the Harbury Tunnel at the end of January. Network Rail says trains will be able to use it again from a week on Friday. The line is part of the route between Birmingham and London Marylebone. The minor injuries units at Leominster and Ross-on-Wye hospitals have closed temporarily, so staff can cover A&E shifts at Hereford County Hospital. The Wye Valley NHS Trust says it's to cope with the current high demand on services, and they hope to reopen the units as soon as possible. A book of condolence has been opened at the iPro Stadium in memory of former Derby County manager Dave Mackay, who died on Monday at the age of 80. Players paid tribute to him last night, wearing black armbands during their game against Brighton. A new training academy is opening at the manufacturers of Arga Rangemaster ovens in Leamington. All range cookers have been built on the site for the last 80 years. Over £3 million has been invested in the factory in the last 3 years as the company looks to recruit and expand into new markets.
Increasingly, we're looking at the continent. France, Germany, Holland are all markets that we're very excited about. Obviously North America too, and perhaps in due course we're going to be selling in China. Certainly the end of this month we're actually going to be opening our first outlet in China.
Let's get some football now, and one result to bring you this evening. It's a good one as well for Birmingham City, who beat Blackpool 1-0 thanks to an Andrew Shinnie goal. The result means Birmingham have moved up to 13th in the Championship table. Former heptathlete Kelly Southerton has been reunited with her Commonwealth gold medal. It was found in a postbox yesterday after it was reported stolen last month. She made a television appeal earlier this week after her home in Sutton Coldfield was burgled. A postman found the medal yesterday afternoon. More medals and other items, though, are still missing. Now, when King John sealed the Magna Carta, or Great Charter, in 1215, it paved the way for modern democracy in England. One of only 4 surviving copies is now kept in Lincoln Cathedral. This year is the 800th since it was enacted, but it's also the 750th anniversary of the death of another founding father of free speech, Simon de Montfort, the 6th Earl of Leicester. Andy Bevan has been looking into the upcoming plans to celebrate the past.
We demand entry! We demand to see the King! We place demands upon His Majesty!
A rude awakening for a sleeping monarch. Barons storming into Worcester Cathedral and forcing King John to seal the Magna Carta. Now, school history lessons should have taught you that the 13th century document replacing the absolute rule of the monarch with the rule of law was actually sealed in Runnymede near Windsor, a long way from here. But the remains of King John are in Worcester, and this morning, to begin 9 months of commemorations marking 800 years since the introduction of the Magna Carta, the moment the monarch was made to agree to its contents was reenacted in the Midlands in front of his tomb.
We, the barons of the realm, call upon your Majesty to seal Magna Carta. Your Majesty will remain under the scrutiny of the 25 barons to ensure that the articles of the Great Charter are observed.
King John was a frequent visitor to Worcester. He hunted in the nearby forests of Wyre, Feckenham and the Chase. But as civil war brewed in England and his power waned under the Magna Carta, the city became a stronghold for the rebellious barons. In July 1216, the king's forces recaptured the city, but the monarch's days were numbered and he died in October the same year, specifying in his will that he should be buried here in the cathedral. There are only 4 surviving copies of the Magna Carta. 2 are held at the British Library, 1 is at Lincoln Cathedral and 1 at Salisbury Cathedral. Last month they were displayed together to mark the 800th anniversary at a one-off event in London. In Worcester, though, they say they feel just as much a part of the story.
We don't have a copy of Magna Carta, but we have the man who, however unwillingly, put his seal to it, and that's important to commemorate as well. So we're part of this commemoration.
50 years on from Magna Carta, another founding father of British democracy arrived in Worcestershire, Simon de Montfort, the 6th Earl of Leicester. After capturing unpopular King Henry III in 1263, Simon de Montfort established what's come to be recognised as the first real parliament. He himself effectively ruled England for a year until he was ambushed and killed by King Henry's son at the Battle of Evesham. This year, the 750th since de Montfort's death, will also be commemorated with a fortnight of festivities. It's definitely going to be a busy summer in Worcestershire. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
Time now for a look at the weather forecast. With the details for us this evening, here's Lucy Kite.
What's in store for today? ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
Hello again. Well, after a chilly few days, the good news is things are warming up slightly just in time for the weekend. We've got milder air flooding into the country and we're going to see temperatures climb to above the seasonal average for March. So something to look forward to for Saturday. Unfortunately, it won't be wall-to-wall sunshine. There will be bits and pieces of cloud around. Now, in complete contrast tonight, temperatures are taking a tumble. So freezing or just below across the Midlands. A frost expected. Lighter winds though and staying dry everywhere. And then tomorrow will be cloudy but feeling milder.
ITV Local Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
That is it from us for now. As ever, there is plenty more on the website. itv.com/central is the address. We are back bright and early tomorrow. But from the late team, have a good night. Goodbye for now.